Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. I'm having so much fun, I have to tell you, with all these fun things that I can do and screens I can change and things that I can put behind me. And now we had a countdown timer. I mean, there's just so many fun things that you can do when you dare to go live. And yet, that is one of the big fears people have is, oh gosh, I'm going to go live and then I might make a mistake. Well, I hope you can tell after watching me for a few episodes that making a mistake is pretty common and nobody dies because of it. And nobody gets shot. And I don't know, people will maybe show up, maybe they won't, maybe they'll learn something, maybe they won't. But I'm doing fine and I learn every day. And that's the whole point of living, isn't it? You know, if we don't get better and better and better every day, why are we living? Now, there's lots of reasons that we're living. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with getting better and better and better every day. You are actually fine just the way you are. But if you have a desire to get better every day, then by all means, step into a bold new world and try something new and see how it works. Maybe it'll work out well for you. Maybe it won't. Maybe you'll love it. Maybe you won't. But you'll never know if you never try. And today, I know we've been talking a lot about fear, and fear is one of the things that really people allow to stop themselves from making the difference that they want to make. You see, I want to work with influencers because influencers are the people that change worlds. They make the world a different and, in many instances, a better place. Now, there's some influencers who don't make the world a better place. And sometimes better is a decision. You know, I've decided this is better than that. Somebody else has a different opinion, and that's okay. You see, we all have our opinions. We're all different people. We're motivated by different things. Some people get excited by doing this. Other people wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You couldn't make them come on some kind of a live stream. And, you know, we're all different. Vive la différence. That's great. But now I want to talk to you about fears that actually can motivate us. And they've been motivating us from the time the first creature ever moved on Earth. Remember when I said that fear was really our reptilian brain trying to keep us alive? It doesn't understand anything about whether this is scary or whether my life's at risk or whether there's no risk at all. All it knows is that this is different. This isn't my usual behavior, and I've changed, and it's worried for me. That's its job. Its job is to worry for me. But back in the day, long, long, long before man showed up on Earth, when there were critters running around, one of the big fears that drove them every day was fear of starvation, fear of not having enough food. So even though they had this fear of stepping outside their safe place or even moving, which immediately drew attention to them and could call in critters who would eat them, smash them, run over them, but generally other critters who wanted to eat them, because it was definitely that type of universe where there was the constant fight or flight. You had to either fight for your rights, fight for the food you wanted to eat, or you had to run. And you better assess the situation properly because your life truly did depend on it. So fear of hunger and fear of not having enough in our world, oftentimes it's a fear of not having enough money, because money is how we now buy food. Money is now how we buy shelter. And so, um, as a result, fear of not having enough money can be a huge motivator for people. And it's actually one of the positive motivators because it causes you to want to do more. It causes you to want to get out there, to impact more lives, to make a bigger difference. Because when you're helping people, they're willing to pay you for their help. And that is what allows the world to expand and grow. And ultimately, we're in, so scientists tell us, an expanding universe. So anything that expands knowledge, expands your ability to do anything else, is a good thing. Any new knowledge that you get, that's a great thing, because now you can impart it to others. You can help others who haven't yet got there. And this is how the world can grow, when we all start realizing that with every step forward we take, even though it's fearful, even though we might have concerns, we actually open the door and allow somebody else to follow through and make the path easier for them, and allow them to perhaps solve their fears, which might include fear of being hungry or fear of not having a roof over their head. And, it's a very real fear, um, as there have been a number of instances that, people can tell you about, where because of medical problems, people were left destitute and on the streets and didn't have enough money. And they were really sadly destroyed by lack of money. So if you fear lack of money, use that to empower you to move forward, to bring in more money. Think of ways that you can help more people, because the more people you can help, the more money you get paid. That's just the law of the universe. And therefore, if you get paid more, your fear of not having enough money or not having enough food can definitely subside. Another fear people have is actually of looking bad, like, oh gosh, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to tell people about my program, or I'm going to make an offer to people. And maybe it's a software that I've created. Maybe it's, I don't know, some program that you've designed, and people used it and they didn't get the result that they wanted. And they're not happy. And, that's okay. You've tried to help them. It didn't work out so well, but you can learn from it. Everything that you can do can be a learning experience if you let it. So look at it not as something that you did bad or wrong, but something that's a learning experience and enabled you to put food on the table, enabled you to move forward. And what I really find interesting, and I don't know if you do this too, but when I shop at Amazon, I always go to the 1-star reviews, just to see what's the worst thing that somebody could say about this product. Because somebody's tried it and thinks it's not so good. And sometimes I see in the reviews things that are absolutely irrelevant to the product. Like, why put it there? I expected my package on Thursday and it didn't arrive till the following Monday. Well, that's not a review of the product. That's a review of Amazon's failure to deliver. But, that doesn't belong there. But anyway, people fear these bad reviews. I'm just in the process of setting up my website and setting up Google My Business with it. And that's what you want. You want reviews so people can see that you're doing a good job. But boy, that's really scary because people might leave unfavorable reviews. And does that say something about you? Well, it might, or it might talk about how they felt that day as they came to your website or came to your store or came in to talk to you or whatever it is that you did. Because people come in certain states of mind. And, have you ever seen customers in stores where there's no pleasing them no matter what the poor salesperson tries to do? It's very sad because they're having a bad day. And unfortunately for that salesperson, their bad day is going to spill all over them. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the fact that that product isn't good or the salesperson isn't offering the right thing. The person is just having a bad day and they're going to take it out on somebody else. So remember that there are lots and lots and lots of reasons why people may not give you a good review. That has nothing to do with you. So I do always read the bad reviews because I might as well start to see what, if any, problems have been found. And are those problems that really would affect me, that are important to me? The fact that Amazon didn't deliver on time wasn't important to me. I dealt a lot with Amazon, and I suspect many of us have during this wonderful pandemic that we've all been living through. And most of the time, packages get delivered on time. And once in a while, they don't. Oh, well, they'll fix it. Or if it got lost, they'll fix it. They'll replace it. It's not like the end of the universe. So think of your fear as something that you can use to motivate you, to move you forward. Fear not having enough money, and get out there and make more money, because in making more money, you're going to make a bigger difference. Fear not having a roof over your head, because again, you're going to get out there and make more money. And in making more money, you're going to make a bigger difference. It's all about using our emotions because we are sentient beings. We do have feelings. We do have emotions. And, I started this escapade on fear out of saying that fear was not false evidence appearing real. And I strongly, strongly, strongly think that's a terrible acronym and a terrible use of the word fear, because fear can be very, very motivating. But there's nothing false about it. I would never tell somebody who had fear that they shouldn't be fearful. That doesn't work. It's like telling somebody when you feel sad that they shouldn't feel sad. That doesn't work. They're feeling sad or they're feeling fearful. I was with my granddaughter on Sunday, and she was feeling very sad and very upset and very concerned, and she didn't have any friends, and she was sitting under this beautiful, beautiful tree, which is like an oasis on its own. And her dad had gone in there to talk to her, and I came in to see if I could help, and she didn't want to come out, and my son James was dealing with another child and everything else. So I said I'd stay with Cameron and we'd talk. And so she told me this long story of how the world wasn't fair to her. And she went through all these stories of her belief about how the world wasn't fair to her. I didn't try to change her mind. I did suggest that there were some things that she could do if some of her stories were in fact true, and I have no evidence whether they were made up. Kids are great imaginers. But in any event, eventually she had had enough of being very sad. And her dad had come by and said, "Hey, we're going home." And then she went back into being very sad. "Oh no, I didn't get to play on the playground. Nobody lets me play on the playground." And, in some respects, some of us just act like those little kids. Anyway, I assured her that Grandma would stay with her and we could go play on the playground. So off we went to play on the playground while the other, my husband and my two sons went, and the and my son's son headed back to the house. But Cameron and I were perfectly capable of walking back to the house without them. We didn't need their help. And so we stayed and we played on the playground. And she got happier and happier and happier because all of a sudden she had got her attention. So sometimes it's fear of not enough attention that will drive us. And, so you really want to be aware when fear happens, that how can it motivate you? How can you use it in a positive way? Because it can be a very, very positive force. I mean, I heard this very sad story, and I can't guarantee it's true, but apparently in Japan, they are a very structured society, and there's certain things that you can do and certain things that you can't do. And older women who have lost husbands have a very, very tough time because they're really not supposed to go out by themselves, but they haven't got anybody else to go out with. And what's really tragic is that there's a whole lot of them who have now taken to breaking laws in a severe enough way that they get put in jail. Because in jail, they'll have friends and they can get together and they can talk and they can have tea and they've got friends. Now, that seems really, really sad when you think about having to put yourself in jail in order to get friends. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get what you want. And even though there may be downsides and upsides, you have to weigh that, I guess these ladies, assuming the story I heard was true, and I heard it from someone from Japan, so I'm expecting it's true, was talking about how the women no longer feared ostracization for having been in jail. They were ostracized anyway by virtue of the fact that they were alone. Their life partner had died and they couldn't or weren't supposed to go out in public by themselves. So they were ostracized. So they thought, oh, well, we can't get more ostracized by having been in jail. And so they put themselves in jail. Now, I hope Japan has solved the problem and they don't have to go to jail in order to find friends. But, fear can be a huge motivator. And that's my invitation. And I promise you, we won't talk about fear anymore, at least not for a while. But I want you to think about how you can use fear. Yes, it can be something that stops you as you fear things going wrong, but use it as a motivator. Think about what will happen when you get beyond this fear, when you've managed to have a live show, and gosh knows, nothing terrible has happened so far. Although I guess the worst thing that could happen is I break the camera, and I shouldn't say that because that will happen. No, I've got another one right nearby. It's okay. And, you got to love technology. Technology will fail when you least expect it to. But we've all had that happen. Zoom has given us a great understanding of being live and the wonders of technology. And Zoom is amazing. I love Zoom. I love Zoom meetings. But on the other hand, every once in a while, as you're in a meeting, you disappear. And so does the meeting. And usually it comes right back up because somehow or other the signal failed or something failed and you're gone for about 10 seconds. But sometimes it doesn't come back up. Sometimes there's no getting it back on Zoom that day. And so, I've gotten over my fear of technology to some extent. I still struggle with it. But in one group, I'm known as the techie grandma because I at least struggle with it. So many people are so intimidated by it, they won't even struggle with it. They won't even try. But I know that technology can offer an awful lot of benefit to me. And once I've mastered it, I can teach others to master it. Same with artificial intelligence. And no, there's no artificial intelligence that's going to replace you. Relax. The robots are not coming to take over the world. They are just not. But it can be very helpful. If anybody uses Gmail, it's got an auto suggest. Well, guess what? The auto suggest is AI in operation. So tools can be helpful, and don't be afraid to use them. You see, what I want to get through is let fear be your motivator to move you forward. Don't let fear be your stop. Don't say, I'm afraid and I can't do this. Say, oh, I don't know how to do this, and it feels kind of scary, but I want to learn so I can move forward. Every kid coming into school has a lot of fear, but they're little and they're used to dealing with fear because they keep experiencing new things, new things, new things, new things. So they're pretty good with that. And they move forward. Adopt that approach, because that's really who you were meant to be. You were meant to be a marvelous human being that has a whole lot to contribute to the world. And think about ways that you can influence the world more and more and more. And before we close out today's show, I'm going to invite you to join my Facebook group. It's called Be an Instant Influencer. And we're going to talk there more about different technologies, about different ways, things that you can do to move your business forward, to find more customers. I'm learning another new technology. I won't go down that path yet, but at some point in time, I may introduce it to you and show you how it works. I have to first get it there. But in any event, that's something that I'm open to. And it's not fearful anymore. It's annoying that I can't do it as easily as some of these kids who pick it up and go, zip, 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 done. And so now it's just annoying. It just makes me angry that I'm not quite that capable. Oh, well. And so there's all kinds of things that you can do if you recognize that the fear that you feel may be just there to help you, to make you aware that there are maybe some things you need to learn, maybe some things you need to push through, maybe some things that you need to up the ante on. You don't have to fear being alone. You don't have to fear dying of starvation, because you can learn skills and you have the ability to get knowledge unlike anything that was ever available to anybody in the past. And I invite you to take that on, to take it on with excitement and interest. And I look forward to talking to you on another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, people making a difference. Yay.